Welcome to Summer and Cynthia. This is kind of like our cooking show, but it's more the foul weather show. Here we are, nearing the end of February. And do you live in the United States of America and not look like this right now? So coming to you from Chicago and Dallas,
That just
Summer.
had a pretty bad snowstorm in the state of Texas. Hence,
Yes. Did you
smell.
wear that much? That just feels that feels very sumptuous.
Where's my stage, darling? Where's my...
Put some fishnets with that and you're off to the races, right?
Hey.
It's like an album cover, actually.
I am channeling my Diana, Aretha, Mariah, Beyonce.
That is definitely a diva drop right there. All right. We're here to talk about preparing for unexpected weather and unexpected strange conditions, whether you're living in an apartment, drive a car, don't drive a car, live in a house. Summer, what have you learned this week sitting there in Dallas?
I was going to say, it may be a better, to provide a little more context. If you did not see the previous episode, it would make a little more sense as to why you are looking at us right now in our garb. But, coming off the heels of this bad snowstorm that happened here in Texas, a lot of lessons were learned. And, it's little things in addition to preparing, maybe your food pantry for possibly being stuck indoors. And I think a lot of that was learned from the pandemic last year. You've got that. But then, of course, is clothes. And what I found personally is I don't have a lot of winter gear. I was talking with Cynthia in another conversation and mentioned I have a jacket, a pretty puffy down jacket that was meant for all fashionable intensive purposes, not functionality at all growing up in LA. But it has shown up for me even, 25 plus years later. No, I can still fit it. But it is my winter coat. Shout out to Eddie Bauer back in the day.
Let's just pause for a second, because your oldest stuff is I don't want to be all crotchety and say, well, they don't make it like they used to, but no, I've got, some of my best, most tried and true mittens, boots, jackets. It's all the old stuff. I mean, even with back when we owned a house, the shovels were incredibly old, because you just absolutely came to value. These are all part of your tools of survival. So
Correct.
The old stuff, and if it means going to a thrift store when you're just out on vacation or whatever, and you see something that looks old, chances are it's got better down, stronger wool. It was somebody's treasured something. So back to you.
And another thing, so for us, another project that we knew we need to handle and definitely learned in the last week was we want to replace our windows. But that's not cheap and takes some time and coordination. And we said, because we can get a little bit of a draft, just a little bit. And so some of the things that we were doing was keeping our blinds closed, particularly when it's not overcast during the day. But if it was sunny, we would open them because that would be heat coming in from the sun. Sure. But at night, we kept them closed. We don't have curtains, but another tip was if you had curtains as well, closing off the windows to trap that air is always good. We put in the door seals, just extra towels and stuff, just trying to keep as much of the heat in and cold air out, things like that. We did the slow drip with the faucet. We only have one faucet that's exterior, if you will, because I believe that was the tip. If whatever
on an exterior wall.
Correct. So that's our kitchen. And so we did a little slow drip there, but things like that. But for my friends who didn't have power at all, I mean, it was literally just layering yourself like you would outside, just in the house.
I saw a tip on Facebook or somewhere I think it's backed up with a YouTube video, where they took a couple of bricks and then they took a little votive candle, like literally just your smallest decorative candle, and then they put a clay pot over it. So there's room between the candle and the clay pot. and the clay pot emanates the little bit of heat that's coming up from the candle. So I don't know if it's tested or not, but if you get a chance and you're a little curious, clay pot candle trick.
Yeah.
And it's an indoor heat element. I mean, that's the other thing, is so many people were running afoul because they were bringing in their barbecue grills. I mean, oh,
Yes.
don't
Don't
get
do
me going.
that. Or even worse, using your oven and stove as a source of heat. Logically, I could see where that may make sense, but again, carbon monoxide is not our friend,
Right.
and it just depends on what type of stove and oven setup you have.
Mhm.
And then also there were stories tragically of people using their cars and just and you get it. I mean, it's cold, especially if you got little children, you are elderly people, you're desperate,
Yeah.
and so you think these are ways of doing it, but it was a lot of that. So you definitely want to be considerate and careful, more importantly, with certain appliances as well.
Yep.
And really the food is half the battle. It was interesting when we went to go out and brave the snow Thursday morning, because it was still kind of up in the air. We don't know what Friday is going to do, and da 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 da. And Friday may make you be stuck for the rest of the weekend. So it was a panic, of course. It was very much reminiscent of this time last year, pandemic. Um, in terms of the store shelves were just completely
Yeah.
empty.
Yeah.
Uh, Not
But if
opening.
you don't have electricity, then buying something that can be microwaved is a little short-sighted. I mean,
You
that's kind of why it goes back to bread and milk, amazingly.
and
Um,
now those are the things that were gone, actually.
right, right.
Yeah.
Now, if your refrigerator goes out and you have snow outside, then the logical thing is gather, I mean, goodness.
So there were reports with people just putting their groceries outside.
Mhm.
And then, of course, I'm seeing from FDA, CDC, don't do that. I don't know. But again, I mean, what makes sense to you in that moment, I
Right.
try to have no judgment.
Yeah.
You know?
No, in Minnesota, in the wintertime, your garage is your walkout freezer. Christmas was filled with the Jello went out there, and all of the soft drinks went out there. Anything that just needed refrigeration went out to the garage, and then
Yeah.
you just brought it in. And did it smell a little bit like car exhaust? Yeah, but that's just flavor.
Yeah. And for people, particularly in my situation, I've been, for the most part, I've lived life in mild climates. So
Mhm.
you don't really prepare for true four seasons because you don't really experience that. But as we have seen time and time again, nothing's really as it was.
Right,
And
right.
for a lot of reasons, right? And because of that, you don't want to get caught slipping, as the streets would say. And also in the prophetic rapper, West Coast rapper says, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Sugar free. Anyway, kids, I would just say from a clothes perspective, though, if you've got a pair of thermals, they're cheap. You can get them from anywhere, Target, wherever.
Yep.
Have
Or
some,
tights. Or
yes,
tights. Yep.
tights, thermals, a good pair of socks. And really the object of the game in the extreme cold is layering, as Cynthia has graciously reminded me several times this week. In fact, I got out my tights because of her reminding me, but it's the little things that you have in your house that you don't think about.
Yep.
And so it's not about going out and buying all this expensive ski equipment. Unless that's what you do, fine, but you don't feel like you have to go invest in all of that, but really just the basics, the thermals, the tights. And I wore like 4 pants when we went out to walk our dog, and just, it layering up, and gloves, get you a good pair.
So I'll give you the tip on gloves, and this is truly, I mean, gloves for you guys, but I think sometimes when we're in a cold weather climate, we sort of forget the stuff that we used to have,
Mm,
and the things that society, well, fashion dictates. And I mean, yes, there was a time when I had gloves and a hat and sometimes a scarf to match every winter coat that I had. And in the north, you have winter coats that apply to like every 7 degrees of cold.
wow.
And if you needed to wear a winter coat like a good winter coat, like because you're going somewhere fancy. Sometimes you would just suffer. Sometimes you wore a cardigan over a really nice dress just because you needed to wear that winter coat. Anyway, I digress. Growing up, we all wore mittens, right? Because you didn't need gloves. Well, now it's like, oh, how could you possibly live without gloves? Because you're going to work your phone. Well, first of all, your battery dies really quickly when you are out in sub-degree cold. Always make sure that your battery is charged as much as it can be, and that if you're driving a car, you've got as much gas as you possibly can have, because
Yes.
you don't want a less than full gas tank to then in that's where moisture sits, and it's not like it's going to damage your system or anything, but at least then you've got a full tank of gas.
Yeah.
But getting back to show and tell. So this is a pair of mittens that I bought, what the hell, at Kohl's probably 10 years ago, because I had like $6 more in my Kohl's bucks and I didn't know what to buy. And so I went over and they had a whole bunch of mittens because it had been a mild winter. And it has these, okay? It's not gloves in there. It's just my hand sticking through. And these are called flip top as opposed to flip flops.
I love those.
Yes, yes. And these have come in very handy this year because your fingers really do share heat. I have another pair of mittens that actually has kind of like a glove liner, and it's just a true pair of mittens. And I have more of these on the way because I never want to, if I don't have to wear gloves, because who am I trying to impress anymore? We're in a pandemic. I want warm hands.
I need those and I'm thinking from a function standpoint, because I have just regular traditional gloves, and the problem walking my dog, I have to take them off because I have to fill his doggy bag, and to open it and all that good stuff. However, if I've got a little setup like you, pop the top, I don't have to worry about taking off the entire glove to do. I love that.
Yeah. And just have the pair, stick it in your strongest winter jacket, save it for next year. It's not a big deal. You're not going to break a bank anywhere, but you've got it, and it will last you. These have already lasted me 10 years, and I've got gloves and mittens that are much older. And then you end up, stupidly buying the $10 pair somewhere, or the $20 pair at a TJ Maxx or Marshall's because you went somewhere and it got cold and you need a pair of gloves. So,
and perhaps your favorite store may be having a sale right now, trying to get rid of that winter inventory. This is a great time to buy winter stuff because obviously they're preparing for the seasons ahead. But that's another note, is now's a good time if you have the means to take advantage of those sales. But like I said, I won't get caught slipping anymore.
No, no. And we'll have this conversation again in next October summer while you guys are it's still 100 degrees in Dallas.
Exactly. Well, I think now is the perfect time to segue into our soul candy.
You gotta love it.
Cynthia, I was thinking Candy and Cynthia. There you go. Cynthia, what is your soul candy this week?
Well, my soul candy actually has a bit of a story this week. As some of you may know, Coca Cola is discontinuing Tab. Tab has been around since the 60s. It was the really first diet drink. It was intended more for calorie counting, not of women and women who smoked cigarettes, which is everyone's mother from the 70s, but rather it was marketed at one point to diabetics early on. And then Diet Coke realized, oh, well, this is such a great thing. We're going to have Diet Coke. So Coke became Diet Coke after Tab, but Tab stayed on the market. And Tab used to be available in fountains even. And it has changed its taste just a little bit over the years because of the sweetener that it's used, but there's a little bit of cinnamon in there. It has a distinct taste. And Coca-Cola is deciding to discontinue it, which is nuts. And so they claimed that they were discontinuing it at the end of last year, that they were not going to make it in 2021. But there continues to be people popping up on my Facebook groups saying, hey, there's Tab in Naperville, Illinois. Hey, there's Tab in this little podunk town in Florida somewhere. And then as soon as they post it, then like everybody races. I've driven an hour when somebody posted that there was Tab available at a suburb in a southern suburb of Chicago.
Yeah.
Currently, I have Tab on hand and I have 4 12 packs that a very good friend grabbed because I saw it on Facebook and she was able to get there the next day. Tab
Wow.
is my soul candy, and I am so hopeful that all Coca Cola is doing is jamming us, kidding us, testing us, the loyalty of Tab drinkers.
I love it. I can say, I don't know if I've ever had Tab before.
Then I'm saving you a can, ma'am.
Yeah, I can't say that I have. I'm sorry.
You ask your mother, you ask your aunts.
And no, I've heard of it. I've
Yeah,
just
no,
never,
they'll tell you. I'm guessing it's kind of a generational thing.
I have been missing out. No, that's great. I'm glad you have some, and I hope you hold on to those just because we never know when you're going to be able to get some more.
Oh, right, right. I mean, when I drink a simple can of Tab, it's like it's a special day.
Aw, well, that's what soul candy is all about. It is
Mhm.
bringing these moments of just joy, and it could be the littlest things. For me, my obsession has been cookies, soft cookies, sugar cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies. Those seem to be my guilty pleasure when we go shopping. I can't pass the bakery without getting a box of nice soft cookies.
Do you know how to make a hard cookie into a soft cookie?
No.
A piece of bread. So use an end of your loaf of bread.
Yes.
You want to make a box of Oreos into something that is so mushy that with a glass of milk you've hit a whole new level. Put a little slice of bread in the container or stick it in Tupperware or whatever. Seal it up. About an hour later, you will be in heaven. Yes.
What? I have found
Do
out
it
about
and we will
bread ends.
bread end. Yep.
Really?
Really.
Okay, you've rocked my world.
And on Facebook, somebody posted that happens with brown sugar too. So if you got brown sugar that is hardened,
Clumps up. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
See, this is why you need to subscribe to the Summer and Cynthia show, because you will get nuggets like that.
Household hints.
Because and I'm sad to admit this, but it is what it is. I will throw out a box of cookies if they start to get hard.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's a transfer of something. I don't know. There's something in the bread that moves over happily, and then you have a piece of bread that was as hard at the end of it as the cookie was at the beginning.
Oh my God, game changer. Okay, you guys, I will let you know. I'm not that I doubt you at all, Cynthia, but oh my God, game changer. Love that. Love
I might
that.
have to go buy some Oreos. All right. So if you want more of this, subscribe to us. That's all you have to do. We'll do all the work. We will put ourselves in your feed.
And if you got any good hacks, let us know in the comments below or shoot us an email. But as always, we appreciate you taking a few moments out of your day to check out these girls right here.
Send us your household tips.
Yes.
The stuff you learned from your grandma that you think everybody knows, that as it turns out, no. It really was just that she was an incredibly wise woman. We are not passing along enough of that wisdom in our day. No, there's no app. There is no grandma app. There should be. Think about that.
Ooh,
but in the meantime, there's the Summer and Cynthia show. So stick with us, and you are never going to see this winter wonderland ensemble again. No,
But until then, we will talk to you on the other side. Take care.
Peace.